how fun is it and how easy is it to keep those dudes on guardrails? Kenny, Shaq, Chuck,
Well, you've both been in there. You've both been in there with me. You know what it is. Every show is somewhere between a walk on the beach and a train wreck.
Yeah.
And half the time you don't know which it's going to be until you hit the air. And you don't, because part of the deal is, look, we all have lives. We all have, some days are good and some days are a little rocky. And so sometimes you may be bringing that to the chair when you sit down. You've had a bad day, Shaq. You had a bad day, and he doesn't feel like taking anything from Chuck. And you can tell right from the start that that's going to happen. So really, it's just kind of a feeling out process, and it's like, okay, how's this going to? Is the energy good in here? Oh, geez, Shaq's on fire tonight. This is going to be a long night. Or Chuck is subdued. I don't know, Auburn lost. So you're constantly kind of reading the room and then kind of figuring out which direction you want to go. And it's like people call me so many different things in that role. Whether it's, hey, he's the ringmaster. Hey, he's the point guard. He's the traffic cop. I'm actually that traffic cop who's not very good at his job, because instead of trying to wave people through the intersection with no fender benders, I'm like waving Kenny this way because I know Shaq is going to broadside. And so in that way, I'm a little bit of a rogue traffic cop. But that's how it goes, man. And if folks at home are sitting there saying, I have no idea what is going to happen next on this show, join the club, man, because half the time I got no idea either. And again, you guys have both seen it. The show can go a million different directions, and sometimes you just let it go.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need to try to rein the guys in and maybe, hey, okay, good. Because, Chuck has a bad habit of repeating himself. He'll make a point and then repeat it 3 more times before. And then, like the other night, he was doing. I said, "Look, man, you're just making laps on this thing. Can we stop and move on?" Oh, okay. And so sometimes I guess I just need to let him know that I know you've just said that 4 times. I'm not going to let you say it 5 times. But yeah, that's the way it goes. It's all feel. It's like, and Tim Kiley gets a lot of credit for that too, the producer, because he'll get in my ear sometimes and say, "Let's move on," or he'll say, "Let it go. This is good." Like we can continue to, if it's a really good discussion. So, but yeah, it's all feel. It's like, okay, this has kind of run its course. Well, boom, let's change direction and do something else.
I've had so much fun on the show. It's unlike anything that I've ever done. And I'm not sure in media that you can ever do anything else that's I'm not sure how you can recreate it. I'm not sure, I don't think it can be recreated, but it's so free flowing, but yet and still, it's not just like haywire though. It's not just like anything goes. It's very much so like, hey, we want to talk about these things. And then if it goes somewhere else, great. But for me to have the opportunity to be on that show with you guys and just watch and learn, and to watch you guys help me, when I'm sitting there and can't really get a word in, and you like, Draymond, what about this? Or, early when I first started, we're on the break and Chuck's asking me like, hey, so what are your thoughts on NIL? And I tell him my thoughts on NIL. We come back from the break, start talking, and Chuck goes, Draymond has some thoughts on NIL, and like, just throw me a lob and I go on it. And just to have that experience, and really my first experience in media and really doing TV, I feel like it set me up so well for the future, just being able to work next to stars, to greats. And I just want to say thank you for helping me move into that field, but just making it so easy for me to just go up there and speak and try to build my brand in that space. I just want to say thank you, because I couldn't ask for a better experience.
Ray, what's the first thing I said to you after your first show with us? I said, "Man, are you in a great spot?" Because I don't know how much longer you're going to play, but when it's done, you can write your ticket because everybody's going to want you. It's true. And look, some guys have it. We knew right away Kenny had it. Kenny was, Kenny just had this way about him, this great, like streetwise, you can't throw me off my game in any way. You ask me anything else. And he was great. And we said, oh man, when he's done, he's got to be part of the show. And that's always been the key to any player who's tried to venture out and branch out. And a lot of times their agents are like, I'm going to try to get my guy on TV because I think, this is the avenue. And there are some guys who you would see them interviewed post-game or see their personality on the floor and say, ooh, he might be really good on TV. But there's something about that red light going on. There's something, there's something about that red light going on, and suddenly the topic of conversation is this guy's buddy. Well, what am I going to say? Am I going to be honest, or am I going to say what my buddy wants me to say, or to say about his team? And there can be that, oh, I don't know if I want to go there. To our guys' credit, they have never shied away, despite what players in the league might say. And BD, same way, I talk about this, when Dre was on the show a few years ago for the first time. But it's the same way with you. When you're on the air with us, we're like, this guy gets it. He's just being him. He's not like, oh, I got to be a TV guy now. It's just like, no, this is what you guys have me on the show, and this is what I am. And that's all you can ask for, is somebody to be authentic and genuine and be themselves and not hold back. And for a guy like Chuck, who was the most quotable guy in the world on every topic when he was a player, who was always sought out for his opinion, he never shied away from that. And that's what makes it work. So, and it also goes back, when you talk about the free-flowing conversation, it goes back to the fact that these guys are not in the production meeting because we don't want the show laid out. So they're thinking about, well, what am I going to say about that? What am I going to say about the Bucks? What am I going to say about the Clippers? What am I going to say about Kawhi? It's going to come up. And what do you think? Right there, not with a bunch of I'm trying to remember what I said, and not with a rehearsed kind of. But we've seen enough shows that are so rehearsed that the opinions and the things that are happening like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Like, okay, now you're supposed to talk, now I'm supposed to talk, now we're supposed to get to commercial. With us, it's like, geez, who knows how it's going to go? How, with all this stuff flying back and forth. And I think that's why it resonates. I think that gives you more that feel like you're sitting in the living room with your fellas watching. Nobody's asking for permission to talk. You don't go to commercial break and say, hey, when we come back, you say this, and then you say this, and I'll laugh, and you say this. No, we're just letting it fly. And then eventually we got to get back to the game, and then we'll pick it up when the game's over. So that's how it works.
Opinions sometimes can get heated. You're talking about basketball, which all the guys on that stage love. You go through life, you start your show at 7 o'clock. It could be 12:15. You've been there for 4.5 hours. Well, you've been there for 13.5 hours. But everyone else has been there for, call it 5.5 hours. You get a little groggy, you get a little tired. Opinions start to clash. Have there ever been moments on a set where you felt like, man, this could really lean the other way, and go somewhere we really don't want it to go amongst the guys?
No, and a lot of times the talk from people who watch, and they've asked me this thing, are you ever afraid that Shaq and Charles are really going to, throw hands some night? And I said, no. No, look, these guys were tight. Their moms were tight. Their families were tight. No, but here's the deal. They realized that everybody on that show comes at the game from a different angle. And so there are going to be, Shaq is going to give you the big man got to give you 30 and 15. That's his solution to everything. And then Charles and Kenny will point out, look, you were Shaq. You were Shaq. Okay, you can do that. but not everybody is you. Doesn't matter. It's
Totally.
like, and so I think because of that, you can have these differences of opinion, and a lot of times that comes down to, like, Shaq saying that coaching doesn't matter. Here's a guy who's played with some of the greatest coaches of all time, but he's saying coaching doesn't matter. And then you get a chuck, and man, you must have been a joy to coach. And then they say you're going to be some furniture movement. I mean, it happens all the time. But no, I don't think that that's ever been an issue of thinking, oh yeah, these guys are really mad at each other. I mean, look, there was one time in particular. The clip has gone viral about 1 billion times of the night that Charles took all of Shaq's time on a sponsored element.
Oh yeah.
We finally, there were 25 seconds. Okay, Shaq, because Charles had answered, and then I was about to throw it to Shaq, and then Charles took it back because he had something else to add for the 4th time. And then when I get it back to Shaq, no, he wants to talk. He's going to take all the time. Blah, blah. Supposed to be 1 to 2 to 3, not 1 to 2 and back to 1. which when he said it was the funniest thing I'd ever heard in my life, and I couldn't stop. And so, but what you didn't realize, he was hot. He was so mad. Shaq was running hot.
He was so mad.
BD. This was during the playoffs, and BD, he came in the next night. He was quiet. He wouldn't talk. He was and the show starts, and he's just sitting here like this, staring straight ahead. And I'm having to beg him to talk. Come on now, hey, big fella, come on. This is a good matchup right here. They don't want to fall down 3-1 in the series. No, they don't. It's like, no, he's still hot. And so, really, that's one of the few times I've ever seen any kind of a carryover from one show to the next, where somebody kind of got their feelings hurt a little bit and was not going to take part in that show the next night. And I remember that pregame show ended, and Shaq immediately got up and went to the green room, and Kenny and Chuck and I looked at each other. Uh-oh, somebody's going to have a word with the big fella, because he's carrying this around.